What if Earth held places so strange? They didn't seem real. A desert where the sky reflects off the ground like a mirror. A volcano that burns bright blue in the dark. A glacier that bleeds across a field of ice. Forests made of stone. Caves filled with crystals taller than trees. Tides that glow like stars. Lakes that turn birds into statues. This isn't fiction. These are real. Formed by fire, salt, heat, and time. Shaped by forces we still don't fully understand. This is a journey into the most unbelievable wonders of planet Earth. When the Bolivian highlands flood, the world's largest salt flat becomes something impossible. A perfect mirror of the sky. Salar de Uyuni stretches over 4,000 square miles, covering a prehistoric lakebed in thick crusts of pure white salt. But when a thin layer of water settles across its surface, the landscape vanishes. Mountains float. Clouds reflect beneath your feet. The horizon dissolves. You're no longer walking on land. You're walking through the sky. But what lies beneath is just as unreal. Salar de Uyuni holds the largest known deposit of lithium on Earth, over 50% of the planet's supply. This soft, silvery metal powers smartphones, electric cars, and satellites. From above, it's silence and stillness. From below, it's the energy that drives the future. At night, under a full moon, the salt flat becomes otherworldly. The stars reflect perfectly in every direction, above and below, as if the Earth itself has turned into space. Time feels suspended. The air is dry, the silence complete. It's one of the only places on the planet where the line between land and sky simply disappears. But in one of Earth's coldest, driest deserts, a glacier bleeds red across the ice. In the middle of Antarctica's icy silence, a glacier appears to bleed. A crimson streak seeps from the tongue of Taylor Glacier, staining the surrounding ice a deep, rusty red. It looks like something out of a horror film, a frozen wound carved into the most remote desert on Earth. But this isn't blood. It's iron-rich, hypersaline water trapped beneath the glacier for over 2 million years. Cut off from sunlight and oxygen, the subglacial lake below developed its own chemistry. And when that briny, iron-loaded water reaches the surface and reacts with oxygen in the air, it rusts instantly. The result is a flow of natural red blood that never freezes, even in sub-zero temperatures. Scientists study blood falls to understand how life might survive in extreme environments, including places like Mars or Europa, where saltwater might exist beneath the surface. This isn't just a bizarre natural wonder. It's a working model for alien ecosystems. Antarctica may look lifeless, but here, beneath layers of ice, ancient secrets rise to the surface in vivid red. But on the other side of this continent, there's a lake that does something even stranger. It turns birds to stone. In northern Tanzania, near the Great Rift Valley, lies a lake that looks like it belongs on another planet. Lake Natron is shallow, hot, and red, stained by salt-loving microorganisms that thrive in its extreme chemistry. Its water can reach temperatures over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and a pH as high as 10.5, nearly as caustic as ammonia. But it's not the color that makes it famous. It's what happens to anything that dies here. Due to its extreme salinity and alkalinity, Lake Natron has the power to preserve, even petrify. Birds and animals that fall into its waters can become calcified. Their bodies hardened and coated in salty crust. Some look as if they've been turned to stone, frozen mid-flight or mid-step. And yet, this lake is full of life. It's one of the only breeding grounds for the lesser flamingo, which thrives here precisely because few predators can survive the harsh conditions. The lake's toxic waters protect them. It's a contradiction, deadly and nurturing, lifeless and alive. A place where time doesn't just stop, it hardens. But deep in the deserts of Nevada, there's another place where Earth's chemistry creates the impossible. A geyser that erupts in rainbow-colored fire. Rising unexpectedly from the dusty Nevada desert, Fly Geyser looks like something built for a sci-fi movie set. A steaming, rainbow-colored cone spewing jets of hot water into the air. But this surreal formation isn't ancient or natural in the traditional sense. It was created by accident. In 1964, a geothermal test well struck a pocket of pressurized water beneath the surface. The well was capped but not sealed properly. Over time, the mineral-rich water forced its way out, and as it sprayed into the desert air, it began to deposit layers of calcium carbonate and silica. Heat-loving bacteria followed, painting the cone in brilliant shades of red, green, and gold. Today, Fly Geyser continues to grow, slowly building itself upward with each eruption. Though it sits on private land, its surreal beauty draws attention from scientists, photographers, and travelers alike. It's a living sculpture, shaped by geology, time, and a human mistake. A natural wonder, born by accident. But thousands of miles away, the ocean performs its own magic trick, where each wave glows electric blue beneath the stars. At first glance, Vadu Island looks like any other tropical paradise in the Maldives. White sand, palm trees, turquoise water. But after sunset, something extraordinary happens. As waves roll onto the shore, they begin to glow. Each crest sparkles with electric blue light, as if the ocean has come alive. This phenomenon is called bioluminescence, and it's caused by microscopic plankton called dinoflagellates. When disturbed by movement, like the pull of a wave or a footprint in wet sand, these tiny organisms emit a cold, chemical light as a defense mechanism. It's not rare in nature, but here, it's overwhelming. The entire beach can light up under the stars, as if the sky has fallen into the sea. Locals call it the Sea of Stars. Visitors describe it as walking through a dream. And yet, it's entirely real. A biological light show powered by the tiniest life forms on Earth. In the Maldives, the sea glows with every tide. A reminder that even the smallest things can create the greatest wonders. But on the slopes of an Indonesian volcano, Earth shows another kind of light. One that burns electric blue from deep inside the planet. By day, Kawah Ijen looks like any other volcano. Steep slopes, thick sulfuric clouds, and a turquoise crater lake. But at night, it becomes something far stranger. Flames burst from the rocks, glowing electric blue like fire from another world. This phenomenon isn't mythical. It's chemical. Kawah Ijen is one of the only places on Earth where sulfuric gases ignite on contact with air, producing blue flames that can reach over 16 feet high. The gases burn so hot they glow neon blue, and at night the entire crater seems to shimmer with supernatural fire. But Kawah Ijen is more than a visual marvel, it's a place of labor. Every day, miners climb into the crater with nothing but scarves over their faces. They chip solid sulfur from vents and carry up to 200 pounds on their backs, often barefoot through toxic fumes. It's one of Earth's most dangerous jobs, carried out in one of its most extraordinary landscapes. Here, fire doesn't just destroy, it creates. Sulfur, stone, and survival all rise from the same glowing depths. But even stranger than fire is boiling acid in vibrant green pools, in one of the hottest places on the planet. Welcome to one of the most extreme environments on Earth. A place so hot, so toxic, and so alien-looking, it's often used to simulate conditions on Mars. This is Dallol, in the Danxia depression of Ethiopia, where colorful pools bubble with acid, and the ground smokes from hidden vents. Temperatures here can exceed 120 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. The air is filled with the sharp scent of sulfur. The landscape is painted in impossible colors: neon greens, deep rust reds, bright yellows, formed by deposits of iron, sulfur, and salt pushed up from deep inside the earth. These pools aren't just hot. They're acidic enough to burn skin. And yet, scientists are fascinated by Dallol. Not because of what lives here, but because almost nothing can. It's one of the rare places where even microbial life struggles to survive. Despite its beauty, this is not a place for people, or animals, or almost any known form of life. It's a glimpse into a version of Earth we rarely see, raw, volatile, and completely untamed. And deep beneath the surface of Mexico, another extreme world exists. A silent cavern where crystals grow taller than trees. Hidden nearly 1,000 feet below the surface of northern Mexico lies one of the most otherworldly places ever discovered. Inside the Naica mine, a natural cavern glows with massive, translucent crystals, some stretching over 35 feet long and weighing up to 55 tons. This is Cueva de los Cristales, the Cave of Crystals. Formed over hundreds of thousands of years, these towering selenite crystals grew in near total stillness inside a superheated, mineral-rich chamber. Temperatures reached up to 136 degrees Fahrenheit, with humidity over 90%. The cave's heat and thickness made it impossible for humans to enter without protective suits and oxygen. Not because of poison, but because the air itself was too dense to breathe. The crystals are so large they seem sculpted, but they're entirely natural, grown from time, water, and microscopic mineral shifts no faster than a fingernail grows. For years, the cave remained hidden, sealed beneath rock and water. Now, it's considered one of Earth's most beautiful and hostile crystal formations, a place that feels more like the core of an alien planet than our own. But while these crystals grew in silence, far above, a spring bursts with every color nature can offer. In the heart of Yellowstone National Park lies a spring so vibrant it looks unreal from above. This is the Grand Prismatic Spring. The largest hot spring in the United States and one of the most colorful anywhere on Earth. It spans over 370 feet across, larger than a football field, and shimmers in concentric rings of blue, green, yellow, and orange. The color isn't a trick of the light, it's biology. Each hue is created by thermophilic bacteria, microscopic organisms that thrive in extreme temperatures. The different colors mark shifts in heat: blue at the scorching center, red and orange near the cooler edges. But beneath its surface, the water can reach up to 189 degrees Fahrenheit, and the spring is constantly fed by underground volcanic heat. It's a delicate balance, dangerous, yet mesmerizing. The Grand Prismatic is not only a geological wonder, but a living ecosystem in constant flux. It's a place where science meets spectacle, where color tells a story of survival in boiling extremes. And halfway across the world, another colorful wonder rises. Not in water, but in stone, a mountain range painted by time itself. In northwestern China, the mountains ripple in stripes of red, gold, and lavender, as if painted by hand. This is the Zhangye Danxia landform, a surreal stretch of rainbow-colored sandstone that looks almost too perfect to be natural. But the colors are real. Formed over 24 million years, these layers of red sandstone and mineral deposits were slowly pressed together by tectonic shifts. Wind and rain carved the hills into flowing ridges and sharp cliffs, while iron and other trace minerals painted each layer in different hues. The result? A natural canvas that seems to defy geology. The most vivid colors appear after rainfall, when the minerals darken and saturate. And during sunrise or sunset, the mountains catch the light in ways that make them look like stained glass. Designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Zhangye Danxia is a reminder that the planet itself is capable of artistry. No brush required. You can hike the ridgelines, walk the viewing platforms, and still struggle to believe what you're seeing. It doesn't look like Earth, it looks imagined. But deep in the Chilean desert, there's a place that NASA uses to test Mars rovers, because it may be the driest place on Earth. In northern Chile's Atacama Desert lies a place so dry, so lifeless, and so eerily shaped that scientists use it to simulate Mars. This is Valle de la Luna, the Valley of the Moon. A wind-swept world of jagged salt peaks, hollow caves, and dunes shaped like waves of stone. Some parts of this desert haven't seen measurable rainfall in over 400 years. The ground crunches underfoot, not with sand, but with salt crystals. Erosion has sculpted the rocks into strange forms. Some resemble shattered towers, others look like ancient ruins bleached white by time. NASA has tested rovers here, knowing the valley's chemistry, dryness, and light levels are some of the most Martian conditions on Earth. Yet, despite the silence, there is motion. Wind carves the dunes daily, and the sun paints the rocks in shifting tones of copper, grey and bone. At sunset, the valley glows red and gold, not from fire, but from the light bending through salt and dust. Valle de la Luna doesn't just look like the moon, it feels like you've already left Earth. But hidden on a distant island off Yemen, Earth becomes stranger still. Where alien-looking trees bleed red like dragon's blood. Off the coast of Yemen, in the Arabian Sea, lies an island so strange it's often called the most alien-looking place on Earth. This is Socotra, a land isolated from the mainland for over 20 million years. As a result, nearly 1/3 of its plant life exists nowhere else on the planet. Its most iconic inhabitant is the dragon's blood tree. A bizarre, umbrella-shaped species with branches that twist upward like coral. When cut, it bleeds a dark red sap once believed to have magical properties. It's been used for dyes, medicine, and ancient rituals. And it still gives the tree its legendary name. But Socotra's alien quality doesn't stop there. The island is home to bulbous cucumber trees, massive limestone caves, wind-swept sand dunes, and pristine, untouched beaches. With so few humans and so many endemic species, it feels like evolution ran wild here, creating a private world of biological experiments. There's no other ecosystem like it, not on Earth, and possibly not anywhere. Perched high on the limestone plateaus of Socotra Island, the dragon's blood tree looks like a living umbrella turned inside out. Its wide, flat canopy shields it from the harsh desert sun, while its thick trunk holds moisture in one of the driest island climates on Earth. But its shape isn't the strangest thing. When the bark is cut, it bleeds. Not sap, but a deep red resin that earned the tree its legendary name. Locals have used this dragon's blood for centuries as medicine, dye, and incense. In ancient times, it was said to hold magical powers. The dragon's blood tree is found nowhere else on the planet. And it's just one of hundreds of plant species endemic to Socotra. An island often described as the Galapagos of the Indian Ocean. Evolution here has gone off script, producing alien-like plants, bulbous shrubs, and surreal desert life forms that feel entirely detached from the mainland. Under starlight, the trees cast strange shadows. During the day, they look like they've stepped out of a science fiction film. And far across the sea, in the stone forests of Madagascar, life clings to razor-thin towers of rock, in a place sharp enough to slice skin. In western Madagascar, the forest doesn't grow from soil, it rises from stone. This is Tsingy de Bemaraha, a labyrinth of razor-sharp limestone pinnacles, so dense, so dangerous, it remained largely unexplored for centuries. Tsingy means where one cannot walk barefoot in the local Malagasy language, and it's not an exaggeration. The surface is made of cast limestone, sculpted by rain and time into spires that can cut skin and shred shoes. Some towers rise over 300 feet high, forming natural bridges, crevices, and caves that only the most careful explorers can navigate. Yet even here, in this world of knives, life persists. Lemurs leap between spires, bats and birds roost in crevices. Rare insects and plants thrive in the shadows below. Scientists have found species here that exist nowhere else on Earth. It's a forest without trees, a mountain range built not from peaks, but blades. Tsingy is more than a geological marvel. It's a fortress of stone, sculpted by erosion and guarded by time. But deep in the Sahara, far from forests and rivers, another impossible shape emerges. A perfect spiral, 25 miles wide, burned into the desert floor. From the ground, it looks like a ringed series of rocky hills, but from space, it reveals its true shape. A perfect spiral carved into the earth. This is the Richat structure, better known as the Eye of the Sahara, a 25-mile-wide bullseye in the middle of the desert. For decades, scientists didn't know what caused it. Some thought it was a meteor impact, others believed it was a lost city, perhaps even the remains of Atlantis. But today, most geologists agree it's a deeply eroded geological dome, formed when underground layers of rock pushed upward and slowly wore down over millions of years. What makes it truly unbelievable is its symmetry. From above, it looks artificial, as if it was designed, not formed. The rings are nearly concentric, the color bands almost perfect. Even astronauts aboard the International Space Station have used it as a visual marker from orbit. It's a geological fingerprint, massive, ancient, and still mysterious in parts. But far to the south, where clouds drift across a flat-topped mountain, an entire ecosystem lives in isolation, cut off by cliffs, untouched by time. Rising above the jungle like a fortress in the clouds, Mount Roraima is one of the oldest geological formations on Earth. flat-topped mountain, or tepui, formed over 2 billion years ago. Its vertical cliffs tower over 1,300 feet high, cutting it off from the world below. Reaching the summit feels like stepping into a lost world. Up here, isolation has shaped life into something unique. Carnivorous plants, black frogs, and ancient mosses thrive in the cool mist. Some species are found nowhere else on Earth. The landscape itself is equally surreal. Vast stone plateaus, rock formations shaped by wind and rain, and sudden pools that collect the sky. The indigenous Pemon people call it the House of the Gods. And it inspired explorers and authors alike, including Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, who based The Lost World on tales of this mountain. Surrounded by clouds, Roraima doesn't just look like another planet. It feels like one. Time moves differently up here. Evolution does too. But under the ground in New Zealand, nature has painted the ceiling with thousands of living lights that turn darkness into a galaxy. Deep beneath the hills of New Zealand's North Island, rivers carve through limestone to form a network of ancient caves. But what draws travelers here isn't the rock, it's the light. In the darkness of the Waitomo Caves, the ceiling sparkles with thousands of soft blue lights. It looks like the night sky, but these stars are alive. They're called Arachnocampa luminosa, glowworms found only in New Zealand. They hang from the cave ceilings and emit light to attract prey, creating an eerie, bioluminescent glow that fills the chambers. The deeper you float in, the quieter it gets, until all that remains is darkness, water, and a galaxy of living light above you. The glow is a chemical reaction powered by luciferin, the same compound found in fireflies. But here, in total stillness, the effect is hypnotic. Tour boats drift silently through black water beneath this glowing canopy. No voices, no lights, just wonder. In Waitomo, light doesn't shine, it glows. Slowly, quietly, like a dream unfolding underground. Tucked deep within the Paria Canyon Vermilion Cliffs wilderness of northern Arizona is a rock formation so fluid-looking, it seems like stone has learned to move. This is the wave. A swirling sea of layered sandstone frozen mid-motion. Formed over 190 million years ago, the wave began as sand dunes. Over time, pressure and minerals hardened the dunes into rock, preserving their curves like ancient brushstrokes. Wind and rain then carved the soft layers into undulating ridges, smooth valleys, and delicate fins of stone. The result is an optical illusion, striations of red, gold, and white that twist across the rock like waves in a desert sea. Getting here isn't easy. The wave is protected by a strict permit system, with only 64 people per day allowed to enter. The hike is long, exposed, and unmarked. But for those who make the journey, the reward is otherworldly. Standing inside the wave feels like standing inside time, inside the memory of wind. It's not just a place, it's a moment in Earth's movement, captured forever in stone. And in California's high desert, another strange body of water tells a different story. Where salt towers rise from a dead, ancient lake. In the dry basin east of California's Sierra Nevada, Mono Lake stretches across the desert like an inland sea from another time, because it is. This ancient lake formed over 760,000 years ago and has no outlet to the ocean. As a result, minerals have built up in its waters for millennia, making it nearly 3 times as salty as the ocean and incredibly alkaline. But the lake's true signature is the tufa towers. Bizarre, jagged limestone spires that rise from the water's surface like the ruins of a sunken city. These structures formed underwater when calcium-rich freshwater springs met the lake's carbonate-rich waters, causing minerals to precipitate upward. As water levels dropped in the 20th century due to diversion, the towers were revealed, tall, twisted, and ghostly. Mono Lake supports strange life. Algae, brine shrimp, and trillions of alkali flies form the base of a surreal ecosystem that attracts millions of migratory birds each year. It's lifeless to the eye, but teeming just beneath the surface. It's a reminder that even Earth's oldest places are still changing. And in Canada, one shallow lake transforms each summer into a natural mosaic, where science and art collide in perfect circles. Each summer, as temperatures rise in British Columbia's Okanagan Valley, a shallow lake begins to vanish. And something truly strange appears. Dozens of circular pools, each a different color, emerge from the receding water. This is Spotted Lake, one of the world's most unusual natural mosaics. The lake contains extremely high concentrations of magnesium sulfate, calcium, sodium, and other minerals. During the dry season, most of the water evaporates, leaving behind thick mineral deposits that form distinct round spots across the lake bed. Their color shifts depending on the mineral makeup and temperature. Some glow green, others deep yellow, blue, or even white. To the local Silex First Nations people, this has long been a sacred place, a site of healing and spiritual power. The lake's mineral-rich waters were traditionally used for medicinal purposes, and access is still restricted to protect its cultural and ecological integrity. From the sky, Spotted Lake looks almost artificial, like Earth's surface pixelated, but it's entirely natural and totally unique. And on the northeast coast of South America, nature creates another miracle. A desert where water doesn't disappear, it collects. At first glance, Lençóis Maranhenses looks like a vast, endless desert. Waves of white sand roll to the horizon in northern Brazil, shaped by wind and heat. But this isn't a true desert, because deserts don't do what this place does. Every rainy season, fresh water collects in the valleys between the dunes, forming thousands of crystal-clear lagoons. The result is a surreal landscape where desert meets water. Blue pools scattered across the sand like shattered glass under the sun. The name means bed sheets of Maranhão, and it fits. From the air, the dunes resemble freshly rumpled linen. But beneath that beauty lies a delicate ecosystem. Fish appear in the lagoons, carried in as eggs by migrating birds or trapped from underground rivers. The pools are temporary, evaporating slowly under the tropical sun, only to return again with the next rainy season. Protected as a national park, Lençóis Maranhenses is one of the only places on Earth where rainwater rests inside desert dunes. It's a contradiction and a miracle. And in China's misty mountains, another kind of miracle towers over the forest. Vertical stone pillars that rise like floating islands. In the misty mountains of Hunan province, towering sandstone pillars rise straight out of the forest, so tall and narrow they seem to float above the trees. This is Zhangjiajie National Forest Park, home to over 3,000 stone columns, many over 600 feet high. Formed by millions of years of erosion, these giant spires were shaped by wind, water, and freezing temperatures. Unlike most mountain ranges, which connect through ridges, these pillars stand isolated, sculpted individually by time and gravity. The result is a vertical stone forest that seems to hover in the clouds. Zhangjiajie became globally famous when it inspired the floating Hallelujah Mountains in Avatar. But seeing it in person is even more surreal. Visitors can ride the world's tallest outdoor elevator, walk across the highest and longest glass-bottom bridge, or take cable cars through the fog between stone towers. It's not just a landscape, it's a cinematic world brought to life by nature. A place where the ground seems to disappear and Earth reaches skyward in impossible shapes. But hidden in the jungles of Mexico, another dreamscape awaits, where stone meets surrealism and the forest is filled with stairs to nowhere. In the lush rainforest of Xilitla, Mexico, vines wrap around columns, waterfalls tumble through archways, and staircases rise into the trees, but lead nowhere. This is Las Posas, a surreal garden of stone built by the eccentric English poet and artist Edward James. Between 1949 and 1984, James poured his fortune into constructing a dreamlike landscape of over 36 concrete sculptures. Gates, spirals, domes, towers, scattered across 80 acres of subtropical jungle. Inspired by surrealism and the natural curves of the forest, his work blends art and nature until the line disappears. There are no straight paths here. You wander between moss-covered structures with names like The House with a Roof Like a Whale and Stairway to Heaven. Jungle birds call from above. Pools shimmer below. Las Posas isn't just a sculpture garden, it's a living dream. Concrete ruins are swallowed by nature year after year, and the entire place feels like it's being slowly reabsorbed by the forest that cradles it. It's one of the few places on Earth that looks like it was designed from inside a dream and built without ever waking up. But in Venezuela, nature itself performs a light show. Lightning that strikes over 1 million times a year without thunder. Where the Catatumbo River meets Lake Maracaibo in Venezuela, the sky is never quiet. Almost every night, for up to 10 hours at a time, lightning explodes across the sky, with no thunder, no storm, and no end in sight. This is Catatumbo lightning, one of the planet's most mysterious and consistent natural phenomena. It strikes as many as 28 times per minute, totaling over 1 million flashes per year in a single region. The cause? A unique clash of geography and weather. Warm trade winds from the Caribbean meet cool air flowing down from the Andes, creating constant atmospheric instability above the lake's warm surface. The lightning forms high in the clouds, rarely touching the ground. It flickers silently, illuminating the horizon in brilliant flashes, sometimes white, sometimes purple. Locals have called it the Beacon of Maracaibo for centuries. Sailors once used it to navigate, while scientists still study it to understand how such a storm can repeat with clockwork precision. It's nature's own light show, vast, rhythmic, and unexplained in parts. And in Peru's high-altitude wilderness, silence stretches for miles. Across a white desert where nothing grows, and even the wind feels like it's holding its breath. High in the Peruvian Andes, above 12,000 feet, lies a landscape so stark, so white, and so still, it feels like you've left Earth behind. This is the Socotra Salt Dunes, a remote expanse of wind-carved, salt-bleached terrain that looks more like the surface of the moon than a place on our planet. Here, sand isn't golden, it's bone white. Plants are rare, footsteps echo, and the silence is total. This is a hypersaline desert where the air is thin and the ground crunches with crystallized minerals. There are no trails, no towns, just a rolling sea of high-altitude dunes shaped by wind and time. Few travelers reach Socotra. It's not a national park or tourist hotspot. It's a whisper of a place, quiet, almost forgotten, but hauntingly beautiful. For scientists, it's a window into extreme conditions. For artists and filmmakers, it's a real-world set that requires no special effects. Standing here, you might question where you are, or what planet you're on. Because sometimes Earth doesn't just surprise us, it fools us completely. We think we know this planet. Oceans, forests, mountains. It all feels mapped, measured, understood. But then, Earth shows us something else. A glacier that bleeds, a desert that mirrors the sky. A cave where crystals grow taller than trees. These aren't illusions. They are proof that Earth is still wild, still strange, still capable of creating places so unbelievable. They feel impossible. We've journeyed across 5 continents, through salt flats, volcanic fire, acid lakes, glowing seas, and floating mountains, and yet we've barely scratched the surface. Because the truth is, the most alien places in the universe may not be light years away. They may be just beneath our feet, waiting to be seen. Like what you saw. Earth is full of impossible places, and we're just getting started. We explore the most surreal, remote, and jaw-dropping locations on the planet. In full 4K cinematic detail. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and travel deeper into the unbelievable.